Good morning. Thank you for coming, or afternoon, whenever you watch this video. Thank you for coming to be a part of the safety training, food safety training for this year. We're going to go through a list of training for the pack house workers and all of the food safety training that we have listed on our policy. This is a requirement for our audit every year, and it's all based on HACCP rules. And those HACCP rules state that we have to eliminate any, or do the best to eliminate any 3 different hazards: physical, biological, or chemical. So each one of these things that I'll go through will highlight some of the ways that we're going to use our prerequisite programs to mitigate those hazards. Okay, so the first one we have is employees must notify employee manager, and that's GE, of any communicable diseases or illnesses. An example would be a bad cold, diarrhea, vomiting, and or open wounds that you might have on your hands. And this is obviously a biological hazard. So anytime that you notice that you're sick or you're injured, we want to make sure that you talk to GE right away, let them know so that we can find a way to keep you away from the product and to keep you healthy, as well as the product safe. Any of your open wounds, exposed boils or sores must be properly treated and covered with appropriate dressing and non-porous covering. An example would be plastic or non-latex gloves, so as not to contaminate the potatoes. So there's 2 reasons. There's a biological hazard there with your wounds, but there's also a chemical hazard. We make sure we use nitrile gloves, so nothing that has latex in it. So just use the gloves that are the company buys for you, and they're because we make sure that they don't have latex in them and there's no cross-contamination with that into them. All employees in this facility must wear a hairnet if they're working directly over the product. If employees have facial hair, beard nets and mustache covers are required to prevent contamination of potatoes with hair. So again, this is another biological hazard. So we have hairnets, and they're at all the grading stations. And the best way to wear a hairnet is to put it over top of any hats that you have. And you want it covering over your ears as well, and so that it covers all the hair. So as you can see, it's covering my whole hat and the hair in the back as well. So if you have long hair, you would have to tie that hair up, put it underneath your hairnet so that it's all completely enclosed in a hairnet. Our footwear must be relatively clean, not in contact with animal or human waste, and disinfected daily by going through the foot baths at the entrances. So you'll notice that each entrance you're coming into the pack house, there is a mat, and it has disinfectant in it. So we ask you to make sure your boots before you come to work are fairly clean. They don't have to be spit polished, but they do have to be clean so that when you walk through the mats, anything that would have been on there that could have had some biological or chemical hazard associated with it will be washed off and clean for the day. Watches, bracelets, necklaces, bobby pins, sequin, studded clothing, and other jewelry are not permitted when working with potatoes due to possible contamination, except for rings worn under your gloves. So anything that's dangling on your ears or neck, some of them can fall off and fall into the product, and it can cause a physical hazard too as well. If you have a necklace or something that's dangling, it gets caught on something, it could potentially cause a serious injury too. Now rings are allowed, so if you have a wedding ring or other rings, you can have them as long as you have gloves. Your gloves are covering over top of those rings. That protects us for any physical hazards that will be in the product. Along with that, false eyelashes, eyelash extensions, false fingernails, nail polish, or other personal effects shall not be worn. Nails must be clean and kept short. So again, this is a chemical and biological hazards. We don't want anything, and physical as well. So none of those nails coming off and going into the product. None of the dirt underneath your fingernails is going into the product. As well as any chemicals that might have been on the fingernail polish, that can't go in the product. So we ask you not to wear any of that as well. And employees must maintain a degree of personal cleanliness, which includes coming to work in clean clothes and general clean appearance. Again, that's just common sense, but it is also a biological to make sure that we're have a clean appearance, but also that you wouldn't have excess dirt that could come in contact with the product that we're selling. Employees may not eat food, drink beverages, chew gum, or spit while on the work floor. All these present a food safety issue. And that's just a simple biological hazard. So we ask you not to have any food or any drink on the pack house floor. It's all meant to be left in the staff room and in the lunchroom. You can have water as long as it's not near the product, so you can leave it in different stations where the gloves are situated in the grading area. And so it's not going to be near the product where it could fall over and spill. You can have water just for your own to keep hydrated during the workday, but no food, no coffee, that sort of thing. Number 9, employees must wash their hands as per posted instructions prior to beginning work, after eating or smoking, after every use of the washroom facilities, and after handling any materials other than the product, including head to face contact. Employees must flush the toilet after use. So make sure that when you're washing your hands, you use either the washrooms with paper towel, hot water, soap, and there's instructions posted in the washroom to show you how to wash your hands properly. If you have to wash your hands, maybe you're on the line and you took your gloves off and you cleaned your face and you need to wash your hands again, or you got something off the ground on your hands, go to the hand washing station and you can use the sanitizing solution and hand wipes, and it's posted how to clean your hands with those as well. And you can do it at the hand washing station, then come back to your grading station, so you don't have to walk all the way to the washroom. Gloves are to be worn when handling products. Gloves must be treated like hands. If they're removed from the work site, they must be washed before using them to handle potatoes again. Gloves are provided for use in the pack house and will be replaced if they're worn out. Gloves may be dried out at heaters by the grading station. Gloves are not to be worn as a substitute for hand washing, and gloves must be left in the designated area by grading stations. So we are trying to make sure that our gloves that we have are left in the grading area at all times and not brought to the washrooms and not brought to the food where you're making your food for your lunch or your breaks. The reason for that is those areas are where there can be a biological or chemical hazards, and we want to make sure that we're eliminating those being part of the equation with your gloves. So that's why we ask you to, when you go on your breaks, to leave your gloves at the grading station where the gloves are, and have your break, enjoy your break, wash your hands in the washroom, and then come back and put your gloves on so we're not cross-contaminating in those areas. Okay, so this is our hand washing station. It has all kinds of compartments for staff to put their gloves in when they go for a break. So when you're on your break, you'll just pass by here, put your gloves in here, go enjoy your break, and then either wash your hands in the bathroom or you're going to wash your hands on this station here. You can use either method. This method is just by using hand wipes, and all the information is located right up here on the hand washing station. Use hand wipes that are contained in here. You can grab a clean one, wash your hands thoroughly with the hand wipe, and then use the garbage can to throw your hand wipe in there. On both sides of the hand washing station we have touchless sanitizing. You just put your hand underneath and a squirt of sanitizing solution comes out. You wash your hands cleanly with that, and your hands are all clean. Then you can take your gloves from the compartment, or you can get a fresh pair of gloves up here and put them on, and then grab a hairnet from here as well and put it on as I showed you before. Employees are not to stand on packaging materials, as this could cause contamination. Food packaging is not to be placed on the floor. This would really be not so much with the graders, but anybody that's handling the packaging, so anybody on the baggers or in the cooler area or running forklifts, just to make sure that we're not standing on the product with your boots. because that product will be bagged and used in stores. Also, all of the products should be on pallets, so not sitting directly on the floor. So if you have boxes and you're noticing they're on the floor, just raise them up and put a pallet underneath so that they're not sitting directly on the floor. This prevents, if there's any moisture that might have seeped onto the ground, won't go into the packaging, or if there's any oil that might have spilled from a forklift, that won't go into the packaging as well and cause a hazard. Okay, so these next couple all go together. So one, there's no smoking allowed anywhere in the facility. No smoking, no vaping. Those products can't be in the warehouse. Again, they pose a chemical hazard. The next one is employees shall perform duties in a tidy manner. So again, that's just making sure that we're cleaning up and around our area so we don't have those any dirt that could accumulate, any hazards that might accumulate that might actually go into the product. We're just keeping a nice, clean, tidy area. Going along with that, when we do clean, like if you clean with a floor, with a broom, make sure that when you're using those that equipment that you're not using it then on surfaces that the product is directly on. So if you clean the floor with a broom and there's some dirt on it, don't use that broom to sweep the grading line where the potatoes go on. We don't want any cross-contamination with that, so use a clean product to clean surfaces where food is going to be in contact.
Cool.
Okay, the next couple kind of go together again. Waste must always be thrown into the receptacles in the building so that it can be properly disposed of outside into the bins that we have outside. So we have one of our bins is marked. It says waste only, and then there's ones that say cardboard. And so we want to make sure that we don't put things in there that shouldn't be in there, as well as the wood shouldn't be contained in those bins. So they're all separately marketed. Anytime there's a spill on the production floor, it must be cleaned up right away, so there's no risk of contamination to the product. The product must be kept off the floors so as to prevent contamination. So that's just common sense. We don't want any of that spills going into the packaging material or then into the product as well. One more thing I'll add is potatoes. So potatoes aren't really a spill, but if they've been washed and they fall on the floor, they may not be thrown back onto the packing line. So you want to make sure that when you see potatoes that fall on the ground, they should be put into the cull boxes. If many potatoes have fallen on the floor and it's deemed by management that it's okay for packing, then they'll be put into another box and labeled, so they'll be run through the wash line, and so they can be re-washed, and then they'll be safe for consumption, and we can pack them at another later time. And graders are allowed to stop the pack line if they see something that is a food safety hazard. This would include objects that cannot be removed through grading, a glass of any sort, and other food products or contaminants such as oils or blood. Just to piggyback off that last topic about if you find any glass or plastic on the grading line and you stop the line and you let the production office know, either Guy or myself, we have a contingency plan for glass or brittle plastic policy. So all glass or brittle plastic breakage shall be reported immediately, which we just talked about. And then the cleanup procedure to all areas is this. We put all of the product immediately on hold, and we remove it from the area and notify Guy and the quality assurance person. We remove large pieces of glass or plastic by hand, and you must wear gloves, and place into garbage. We sweep up the rest of the glass and brittle plastic shards in the area, and we wash all affected areas thoroughly with water or with a damp wipe all. Areas must be checked and notified by Guy or myself before resuming the work in the area. And after cleaning up, all tools, brooms, brushes, and gloves, and employee shoes must be cleaned outside of the processing area to prevent further contamination. So just a list of just common sense stuff. We want to make sure that we have everything cleaned around the area so we know that there's no more plastic that's going to get into the product, and we put that product on hold till we can inspect it to make sure there's nothing in that product, and then we can resume packing as normal. Okay, if equipment isn't working properly and it presents a food safety hazard, or quality concern, let Guy know that he can determine if there's an immediate need or call to assistance. So this could be anything. Could be one of the rollers is broken, you notice a piece of the machinery is kind of loose. All of those things are potential hazards. It hasn't happened yet, but if you notice those things going awry on the line, let Guy know, then we can get and fix to it so that a piece of machinery doesn't fall off or pieces of metal don't come off and then go into the packaging and into the product too as well. The next one is personal cell phones and other personal electronic devices, earbuds or Bluetooth devices may be used, but only when grading and under the following conditions: that they're in place and secured in the pocket of the employee, the earbud / headphones are under the placement of a hairnet, and the required hand washing policy occurs after any contact with the above mentioned articles. So if you can wear the earbuds while you're grading as long as they're underneath your hairnet, so that prevents it from falling out by accident and landing in the product. And you should not touch your earbuds once they're in your ear, because once you touch them, it's a possible contamination that you could pass on to the potatoes. So if you touch them, you have to go wash your hands before you can actually go back and touch the product again. So those are the conditions. They're very strict around the earbuds, but you can wear them, but only under those conditions. So the same thing goes with your cell phones. If you touch your cell phone, you have to wash your hands again, because that's a possible contaminant that can be passed on to potatoes. So you go wash your hands and then, put your phone in your pocket rather, then wash your hands, and then don't touch your phone again until break time. So if you set your playlist just before you're done your break, set your playlist or whatever you on your phone, put it in your pocket, wash your hands, go to work, and don't touch your phone again until the next break, or if you have to go to the washroom or something like that, or if there's an emergency call on your cell phone and you had to answer it, you always have to wash your hands after you touch your phone. And the last one, employees must touch only the sides of the ladders, not the rungs, to avoid contaminating their hands while using or carrying the ladder. So this was added a few years ago to the GAP manual, and it's just a possible contamination. So if your boots have dirt on them, you're going up and down the rungs with your boots, so we don't want you touching the rungs themselves, because that's where your boots are and your hands are touching, and then that could be passed on to the potatoes. So just touch the sides of the rungs when you're going up and down the ladder, because sides railings of the ladder, because your feet won't go on that part, and that prevents any contamination onto your hands. Okay, so now we're in the locker area, which is connected to where the staff lounge is, and then our eating lounge is on the other side there. So before you go to work, we ask you to take all of your outer clothing that you're not going to wear while you're working and place it in your locker, which is in here. So it could be your outer jacket, your muddy boots, well, your semi-muddy boots. It should be clean before you bring them in. And then if you have indoor shoes you're going to wear or work boots, you'll grab them from there and put them on. And this locker should just be left for outer clothing. No food or anything that can be causing contamination should be left in your lockers. The reason for that is we want to keep all of the food, anything that's breakable or whatever, in the eating areas, so that we know it's contained there, and if it broke, the pieces of glass wouldn't be passed on. Anything that's biological or chemical in there wouldn't be passed on and then into the production areas. So they're just mainly for your outdoor wear, or any of your personal effects that isn't food related can be kept inside your locker. And then the door shut and just left there for the day, and you can enjoy your day. Okay, thank you very much for spending a few moments and going through all of the food safety policies for G. Visser and Sons. I just wanted to remind you that the last thing we talk about is just all of these different instances that I described are ways we're mitigating possible hazards. And just to remember that there's a difference between a major and a minor deviation in these hazards. So a minor deviation might be something that you see on the floor and you can pick up, maybe it's some trash or something, and throw it in the garbage, That's kind of a minor deviation that you can handle yourself and deal with it. And just remember, it's all of our responsibility to make safe products for consumers in the company. So you're just as much a part of the safety program as I am, even though I'm in charge of the food safety. I can't be in every area at all the different times, and you are there and you see these things. So just remember, when you're thinking about these policies, they're there for you to help bring safe food and product to the consumers. That's minor deviations, and the major deviations are things that you can't control just all on your own. So it may be a breakdown in equipment, or maybe some sort of chemical spill or something that you don't have the expertise on how to deal with that, and you need to escalate that and bring it to the notification of other managers like Guy or myself. So the minor ones, we're all responsible for dealing with those. The major deviations are ones where you will have to ask someone that has a little more experience in those areas to help you with. So you're still responsible in those areas, but you just have to alert someone to the danger, and they'll take care of fixing those major deviations. Okay, and don't forget to contact either Guy or myself, or Randy and Adam if you have any questions about this food safety course, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.